Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and in my training clip last week I put up a few people noticed that I do closed grip bench press instead of wide grip, and I generally do that most of the year. Kind of a question that comes up with that is, what's the benefits of closed grip bench pressing? Why would you do that instead of wide grip all the time? A couple different answers. First of all, a lot of guys who bench at a high frequency, and even some that bench at a low frequency, still choose to do the closed grip, even who are competitive powerlifters, like Paul Carter comes to mind, KK comes to mind. A lot of these guys compete closed grip. I do bring my grip out a little bit for competition as I get closer to cut the range of motion down a little bit, but I like to train closed grip most of the year. And for me, I find that when I'm benching 3 days a week or more, because I tend to do real high frequency training, I can bench heavier more often without ever straining my shoulders. My shoulders feel stable. I don't ever get shoulder pains, and that's something a lot of guys have noticed over the years, and it does vary depending upon the person's anatomy. But a lot of lifters who've lifted for many years notice that, particularly when they bench fairly often, that the closed grip bench press puts less strain on their shoulder joints, their rotator cuffs, all of that. So it's just one of those things you can do to protect those a little better, because when you start going real wide, it puts strain on your shoulders and it can lead to injuries with chronic use over time. So it's just one of those things I do to help protect shoulders, in addition to things like face pulls and rear delt work and all of that. Now, the other thing to consider is that it is just as good of a strength and muscle builder as a wide grip bench. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, you can do a little more weight on the wide grip. That's true, but you're also doing a shorter range of motion. The closed grip is a longer range of motion. You're going to add a couple of inches, sometimes a little more than a couple inches, to the distance you're moving the bar. So even if you lose 5 or 10 pounds off of the bar, you're adding extra distance that you're moving it. And so moving something through a longer range of motion, even with a slightly lighter weight, is still going to give you just as much muscle stimulation and activation. You're going to gain just as much strength from it, just as much muscle from it. So it's not necessarily costing you anything in that regard. And that's something people forget oftentimes. They'll say, well, again, put a little more stress on the triceps, maybe a little less on the chest. Well, not really. It doesn't seem to put much more on the triceps. It can do a little less on the chest in terms of per inch moved, but because you're moving it through the farther range of motion, it ends up stimulating the chest just as much. So the closed grip bench press is still a fantastic chest builder. And I mean, I'm certainly not lacking in the chest department, as you guys can see. And the only thing I do is closed grip bench press, and recently starting added incline back in. And I only do 225 for 3 reps on that right now, my best sets. So I've only recently added that back in. And I mean, my chest is decent size. I know a lot of it has to do with my frame, but the closed grip has always done really well for me on that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.